Good afternoon, and thanks for joining our webinar this afternoon, The Basics of Personal Banking. My name is Lori Gentile, and I'm going to be your host today. Before we get started, I just want to cover a few housekeeping items. One, today's session is being recorded, so if you missed any portions or you want to go back in and listen to it again, the recording will be available on our YouTube site by tomorrow morning. We'll also send out an email and a link to everyone who registered for the workshop so that they can see it at a later date. Also, all the lines are muted, but we definitely want to hear from you. So you can ask questions in the Q&A box that's at the bottom of your screen around the center. Just type your question in whenever you think of it, and we're going to take a break a couple of times to ask for questions. So before we start, I just want to tell you just a little bit about the Women's Resource Center. The Women's Resource Center has been empowering women in Manatee and Sarasota since 1979. We have 3 centers across Manatee and Sarasota, one on West Manatee Avenue in Bradenton, one on Tuttle Avenue in Sarasota, and on 41 South in Venice. We serve over 1,500 clients a year and do over 5,000 hours of programming. So at the Women's Resource Center, our goal is to empower, enrich, and educate women of all ages. And we do that through our programs and services. So we really are the place where women can go when they just don't know where else to go for help. So that leads to our resource advising. So the resource advising is the first person you speak to when you call us or walk into one of our centers. And they will help you and get you registered or set up with any of our programs or services. Or if it's not something that the Women's Resource Center can help with, we make referrals out to our community partners. We also offer mental health counseling, career services. We have career closets in our centers in Sarasota and in Manatee, where a woman can come in to get clothes for either a job interview or the first week of your job till you get a paycheck, or for any reason. We also offer educational workshops and programs, as well as scholarships. Also legal and financial consultation and education and wellness programs. And this is all at a very low cost or a no cost to our clients. So if you'd like more information about the Women's Resource Center, please visit our website at www.mywrc.org or give us a call at 941-366-1700. And now it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to our speaker today, Dana Proshka, from our very close and wonderful partner, Bank of America. Thanks for joining, Dana.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you for the introduction. And I'm very excited to be here with all of you today. First, I want to thank Women's Resource for giving us the opportunity to come on and be able to provide financial literacy resources and programs and that to the community. And our partnership has gone on for several years now. And I'm just extremely delighted to be a partner with Women's Resource Center. So my name is Dana Proshka. I'm a Better Money Habits champion with Bank of America. Simply today is the first series of our workshops. So today will be basic banking, along with security, and then just a sneak peek into the next month's workshop, which will be budgeting and saving. So you'll get some homework at the end of this presentation today. As Lori has shared, I do want to have as much dialogue as possible. So she will be pausing at certain points. We really want you to forward thinking when it comes to banking and, just banking in general, managing checking accounts, managing your savings, online banking, all of those resources, what kind of questions you may have. So start thinking about some of those now. I may be able to answer some of those as we go through the presentation today. But if you want to expand on them, this is your opportunity. We're really excited about introducing the series of workshops around different financial priorities. This is a spinoff of Ask Our Banker. So if you find that you may need more individualized attention and you really want to have a conversation with one of us Better Money Habits champions, please look and reach out to Women's Resource Center and sign up for one of our Ask the Banker segments. So I am going to jump in and I'm going to attempt to share my screen. All right, screen broadcast. 2, 1, and Lori, can you let me know if you can see my screen? Let me go here. There you go. Lori, I cannot see any video. So can you just let me know verbally if you can see my screen?
I can see your screen. It's a web page. Is that what you're?
Yeah. Okay, perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to see. All right. So what I've taken you here to is our Better Money Habits, Better Money Habits website. And this is powered by Bank of America through Khan Academy. There's a lot of financial literacy and information out here. And the best thing about this is you do not have to be a client of Bank of America to utilize this resource. A lot of information that we're going to be reviewing today. Didn't want to do a PowerPoint, really wanted just to have more of a conversation and go through a few of these. So as you can see, a lot of different topics here that we are going to discuss over the next series. I'm not even sure how many months we're going to be going, but we're just going to keep going until we answer all of the different financial goals and priorities that you may have. But just to share a little bit on here, when you go to Better Money Habits, you can just Google Better Money Habits. When you come onto the website, I'm going to have you start first here on the middle of the screen where it says, find the resources that fit your priorities. We truly believe that every client, every human, every adult, even our teenagers have some type of financial goals and priorities that we're working on. We're all at different life stages. We all have different types of priorities. We all have our own different financial needs. And this is a great resource for you to start and be able to design resources that are going to fit with your priorities and your financial goals. So as you start here, you can just say that I'm working and I'm growing. And then question number 2 will say, am I working full time? Am I self-employed? So what am I? Where are you at in your life? So I'm currently working full time. And if I was a student as well, I could select that, or if I was still an active military or veteran. So you can select more than what pertains to you. So again, this is all about you. And then step 3 is which of these are most important to you. So when you think about financially, what are you working on? Are you working to build up a savings account? Or are you working to improve your credit, or just building credit? Maybe you have too much outstanding debt and you want to see how you can get better guidance on how to reduce that debt. Saving for retirement is something that I'm definitely working on. My children are growing up, so I want to start really thinking, how can I put more money towards my savings for my retirement? So maybe building in savings would be important to me as well. I was a child in college as well, so maybe helping him pay off any student loans that he has, or saving for college, or even buying a home. So whatever it is that you're working on, you can select as many financial goals and priorities that you're working on, because we all know as soon as we fulfill one financial priority, it always seems like something else pops up, right? Just a couple of months ago, I bought a new camper, and now, oh my goodness, now I've got college coming up. So how am I going to help my son pay for college? So those things change consistently in our financial life. So which of these related to you? So we've already selected for this practice, saving for retirement, college, and budgeting was important to me. So, if I look here, I'm not starting a new job or I'm not planning on moving, but I love to give back to my community. So that's important to me. And I love to travel as much as I possibly can. And then lastly, are any of these relevant to you? So go through, take a look, see if any of these are important to you, right? And then it'll view your results. And then when you come here, you're going to have designed your own Better Money Habits page where it'll help you go through and give you recommended reading sources for you to be able to read based on what you entered into the survey. So that's just a little bit about how you can use Better Money Habits website to help you with any financial goals that you have. So today, as promised, we're talking about banking basics and what a bank does. What do we do, right? We all know the bank, standing on a corner, we go in, we make our deposit into our checking or savings account. But how do we manage those accounts? What types of accounts are out there? And how do I avoid fees? How do I really leverage the tools and resources that are available through the bank that you bank with? Again, I'm not here for Bank of America. I'm speaking to you in general about banks across the board. So banks, obviously, when you go in, you have your checking account, you have your savings account. Why checking account? Checking account gives you that everyday use, right? Where you put your money in after you create your budget, you get your paychecks into your checking account, and you pay your bills out of the account. Multiple different ways, right? You can pay your bills out of your account. And we're going to go in through a lot of those in just a little bit. But when we think about like a savings account, what is a savings account really the best use for? So savings accounts are used for creating a savings vehicle to help you achieve a financial goal that you are working towards. It could be just general savings, right? Emergency fund. You can create a savings account for a vacation fund, a savings account for retirement. There's a lot of vehicles that you can use for retirement as well, right? So you have savings accounts, you have your CDs, and then when you have an opportunity to be able to really invest and put aside more money, obviously all financial institutions have some type of a investment firm, right? So you'll be in touch with a financial solution advisor. Not every person working in a bank can give you financial guidance when it comes to investments. I am one. I am not licensed to do so, but I can certainly help you get, and anybody in a bank can certainly get you connected with somebody to help you with any of your retirement savings goals. So going back to the checking account, that is the vehicle that most and everyone on the line probably already uses. So I want to walk through some of the 10 top, oops, that's not the one that I wanted. Bear with me one moment. Sorry, I wanted to go through the 8 tips for getting the most out of your checking account. So excuse me. So some of the ways that obviously we can use our account to the maximum potential is setting up a direct deposit. If you're currently working or have any financial income coming in through Social Security or unemployment, disability, or whether you're working for somebody for out of their home, there's different ways that you can get paid. The days of going in and running in with a check to the bank and beating the clock really has changed. There's a lot of ways you can get access to your funds a lot quicker. And one of those is through direct deposits. Most financial institutions, if you've set up a direct deposit, will give you your checking account with no monthly maintenance fees. And I'm sure you guys probably have a lot of questions around monthly maintenance fees. I will say most times you can avoid them. You just have to really ask the right questions, understand how you can avoid paying any monthly maintenance fees, because I don't want you paying any monthly maintenance fees unnecessarily. But there are some times when certain banks and certain accounts just don't fit where you're at in your financial financial picture to be able to provide that. So then you want to look for the least amount of maintenance fees that gives you the most out of the account, where you'll be able to really manage your account and have a lot of added resources and access to your funds and not be limited. And so any questions you have around that, please, you can put those in the Q&A box, and we're going to stop in a little bit for some questions. But signing up for mobile and online banking, this is probably where I could almost spend about an hour with on online banking and mobile banking on itself. So being able to have the power and accessibility to your accounts 24/7 is extremely important. We're all here on a Zoom because of the pandemic, right? We're still cautious of getting in person, but think back, last year, where everyone was very scared and worried about going to the bank or going anywhere, and for that, for that, sake. So having online banking for any type of, just to have that access 24/7, no matter what is happening in your life, is really important. And understanding how to really use online banking and mobile banking to its fullest extent is really critical. Unfortunately, I meet a lot of people in the financial center that come in and say, I looked at my online banking and my online banking said I had $100 in it. And I went to the bank or to the store and I made a purchase for $55.32. Why did I overdraw my account? My first question to that consumer or to the client is, where is your checkbook register? Online banking and mobile banking should never negate the need for having a checkbook. I still, to this day, even though we have online banking and mobile banking, I still use a checkbook register. The reason why: everybody thinks with this technology that we have, that everything comes out immediately. What happens in most cases is we forgot about that payment, that monthly payment that comes in on Saturday the 15th, but the payment came out a day early on Friday because Saturday's not a banking day, so that it came out on the 14th, a day earlier. That is real life, right? Those are the things that we have to remember. So keeping a register, a checkbook register, will really help you understanding when you go to online banking or mobile banking, looking at balances to ensure that the balance that is there reflects the same balance that you have in your checkbook, and you're consistently taking your checkbook register and comparing it to your online banking app to see if those numbers match. That's really important. If you take away anything else, please, 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 to help you avoid any types of monthly maintenance fees, or overdraft fees, please go back to using that old checkbook register. So other things that you can do when you're online banking and mobile banking, you can obviously check your balances for your checking account, savings account, your credit cards. You can look up your account number and your routing number. A lot of people may be changing jobs. How do I get this information? I don't want to run to the bank. I can go right into my app. If I go on to Bank of America or on my online banking through the bank, that's going to give me an ability potentially to print out a direct deposit form. My mobile banking will only give me the account number and routing number, but if I sign on to the online version, gives me more capabilities. So I can print that direct deposit form to get my access to my funds quicker. I can lock and unlock my debit card. I lost it. How many times have you gotten into a grocery store, you're like you're fumbling through, you can't find your debit card, right? What happened to it? I have my mobile phone. I can just hurry up. I can sign on to my online banking. I can lock it. And then I get in the car. Oh, there it is. It fell on the floorboard of my car. I can go back onto online banking. I can unlock my debit card. So protection, I can protect myself against any fraud happening because of something that happened, that I maybe dropped my debit card or my credit card, right? I can lower my ATM withdrawal limits up to a certain amount based on your financial institution. I can activate my new debit card. I can order a new debit card online. I can place orders. Place orders, what do you mean by placing orders, right? I can order foreign currency online. I can order checks. If you still write checks, I can tell you right now, I haven't written a check in quite a long time because I use online bill pay. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But we can redeem credit card rewards And really important, how many times if you're looking to move, you're renting a new home or you're going to buy a home and you're being asked for 12 months bank statements. I don't know about you, but I haven't printed a bank statement in I don't know how long. But I review it online every month, and I have the ability to go online and be able to download those online bank statements and able to send them directly to the person inquiring for that information. Online, I can even change my passwords. I can update my personal information, my address, my phone numbers, and change my online ID, my online, sometimes some will allow you to change a PIN number on your debit card. You can set up the direct Google Pay, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay. I think those are the three. So you can set up your digital wallet. And we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. So you can see there's a lot of things that you can do online, and those are just the basics, right? We also have the ability to move money online and mobile banking. So I'm sure many of you have heard of Zelle. Zelle is a vehicle that most financial institutions use, which is embedded into your financial institution's mobile app. So at Bank of America, I sign onto my mobile app, and right in there, I can transfer funds to anybody that's in my contacts. And the great thing is when I'm on my app and I'm going through my contacts, somehow it already knows who in my list is already associated with Zelle. So I can transfer monies if I'm out to dinner with Lori from Women's Resource Center and she picked up the bill and I wanted to give her my portion. I could Zelle her the money. It's instant. And let's say she banks at Chase or she banks at Wells Fargo. Big financial institutions, smaller, Fifth Third, a lot of financial institutions use the Zelle. And it's a great way, secured way to be sending money. You can also transfer money between accounts online from your checking to your savings. Try not to do the reverse, but you can from savings to checking. You can pay your bills online if you have a checking account and an auto loan with the bank, or you have your mortgage with the bank, or you have a credit card. You can just transfer right there and make it very convenient for you. You can also do wire transfers online if you have the need to send a wire transfer. Additionally, you can, on my Bank of America app, if I have a question about my credit card, I sign into my mobile app and it says speak to a specialist. And when they answer the phone, they already know it's me. Welcome, or good afternoon, Mrs. Proshka. What are you calling in for today? They know me by name because I've already signed in. They already authenticated myself through the app. So they know it's me calling. They may ask me one or two questions, but it helps negate going through the entire authentication process. So mobile banking and online banking gives you a ton of ability to be able to manage your accounts. The last thing I want to talk about is bill pay. Bill pay was something I even as a banker fought for years. But the nice thing about bill pay is everything's in there for you. You don't have to you don't have to write a check. Saves you the cost of the checks, right? It saves you the postage because the Bank of America sends, or your financial institution sends, your bank sends those checks out for you. A lot of them are even moving electronically. So it takes place quickly and those funds are transferred from your account right into the creditor's account. So bill pay, you can set it up where you control it. I'm going to make my, twice a month, I pay my bills. And when I go into each creditor, I put the amount and then I hit pay. Or you can have it where it's just reoccurring and it continues to go out. So a lot of ways for you to manage your online bill pay. So I went over a lot around online banking. I went around a lot on mobile banking, but hopefully that gives you a lot more insight of capabilities that you have by utilizing your online banking and mobile banking. A couple things I want to talk to you about your debit card. Debit cards are great. Debit cards are there and easy, accessible to go to the ATM to withdraw funds to make your purchases. We're going to talk about this a little bit more in detail, but you're going to hear me say it a couple of times. Whenever you're using your debit card, please, 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 please do not use it as a debit card. Run it as credit. And you're probably looking at me going, why? Because if you're at a gas station, I'm sure you've heard that there's a mechanism that the big bad people in this world put on gas pumps or even at ATM machines. That you have to use it as a debit card at an ATM machine, but at a gas station, is a big one, where you put your debit card in, there's a little camera, and as you select debit card and you put in your PIN number, now they've taken that mechanism, the recording of your debit card number and you putting in that PIN number, and now they can go duplicate your debit card, and then they go on a shopping spree or attempt to go on a shopping spree until they're caught overdrafting your account and then causing you the headache to having to go through fraudulent charges and creating a fraud case and having limited access to your funds at a certain time. So my advice is always, 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 if at all possible, to run your debit card as a credit card. So instead of selecting at the gas pump, you put your debit card in, you select credit, and that's going to ask you for your zip code. Yes, it will work. It still comes out as your checking account as it, like if it would as a debit card, you're going to see that immediately. It's going to come out of the same source. It's not going to become a credit card, but at least you're just protecting yourself by not putting in the PIN number. Another way is if your financial institution has a little chip. There's a lot of those gas stations now that have the ability to tap and pay. That is even better. When you tap and pay, that chip creates a different number and it helps give you more security when making those purchases at a pump. And again, you're still going to select credit. All right, so we talked a lot about moving money between accounts. I already talked to you about how you can online banking, move it in between banks. But online banking also gives you the ability, and I shared with you wire transfers, right? But some financial institutions will allow you to be able to move money. Let's say you bank at Bank X and you bank at Bank Y, and you want to transfer money between those accounts, you can. Or if I want to send somebody money who even banks with Bank of America, if I didn't want to use the Zelle for whatever reason, let's say it was over the daily limit, and I want to send somebody maybe $10,000 or $100 or whatever it might be, and it might be over your limit, you can transfer between banks as well. So there's a lot of ways to move money between accounts, both personally, externally to other financial institutions, and to other people that you may owe money to. So a lot of my clients use Zelle when making their mortgage payments or their rent payments, or any type of reoccurring monthly payment that you may have that goes to an individual. So we talked a lot about checking accounts and money coming in, money coming out, but managing overdraft fees. Again, as I don't want you paying monthly maintenance fees, I shared a lot with overdraft fees, how to avoid them by using your checkbook register. I cannot stress that enough, but sometimes things are going to happen. We're human, we make errors. We forgot about one of those bills coming out, and you know what, it just happens. And there's no way to avoid them sometimes, right? So I may have to take the $35 overdraft fee per item, right? It's not just the one time, it's typically $35 is about the industry average, and pay that fee. Or if you have the ability, and you have a savings account, a lot of financial institutions will hook up their savings account to your checking account. Instead of paying that $35 fee per item that comes in that causes you to overdraft, they may charge you simply a one-time fee of $10, $12, $15 to transfer money from your savings account to cover all of the transactions coming in to your account, if you have the funds available, right? But it helps save you and avoid paying $35 per fee. So again, you have two transactions coming in that could be $70 versus, let's say they transfer $100 from your checking account to your savings, you may well only pay, let's say, an average $12. So a really good way to protect your accounts through overdraft protection by linking a savings account that has funds in it. Another way is by linking up a credit card to it that you have with the same financial institution. And the third way is sometimes your financial institutions may have a unsecured line of credit, a home equity line of credit, a lot of ways that you can link other accounts with other resources to the account to avoid paying hefty overdraft fees. And then when we talked about online banking, I did not touch on alerts. Alerts gives you a lot more ability to be able to manage your account and know what's happening in your account. So if you're at work and you're not on your online banking app all day long, right? but we certainly have those little, reminders that come up, or those notifications on our phone. So if I set to one of my accounts, and I can have different alerts on every single account. So let's say for my son's account, I want to know when his account drops below $50, because I want to make sure that he's not going to get a $35 overdraft fee, because I'll be the one paying for it, not him, most likely. But if I set that alert, then it'll come up on my notification, and it's not always instantaneous. So I want you to be aware of that. Alerts are there to help you, not to guide and manage your accounts for you. Sometimes they can be a little bit delayed, but they're there to help you. And that's to help you bring awareness if your account may be having fraudulent activity. There's tons of different alerts out there. You can do an alert for when you get a deposit coming in. You can set a certain dollar amount of that deposit, or a certain dollar amount of it. Let's say an account you hardly ever use. You can send an alert on another account saying, hey, if there's any activity, any transaction coming out of this account greater than a penny, I want a notification. So that may be your savings account, because maybe you don't take money out of your savings account. So there's a lot of different ways that you can really manage your accounts through the use of alerts. Automatic payments are great. I caution people ever having an automatic payment coming out. I do have one, and that's through Verizon, and that's because I know that payment never changes, and I got a $5 a month discount by having them, be able to automatically take those payments out. Those are the payments that you want to be able to always record in your checkbook, so you're aware of them when you're out using your debit card to make your everyday purchases, that you don't overdraft your account. Those are the ones that come in where you typically may forget and cause you to overdraft. So if you do use automatic payments, just be very careful when you do that. And lastly, you are highly protected by any financial institution out there. There's safeguards that the bank has to have in place. They have to have the security and safeguards in place to make sure, one, that we're protecting you, the consumer, and two, we're keeping the bad guys out of people's accounts, and three, we're protecting, obviously, ourselves, the bank, because ultimately, your bank is the one that's taking the most risk if you have fraudulent activity, and it's proven that it's fraudulent activity. They're going to be able to give you your funds back. Obviously, there's a process that you have to go through, but be okay. Your banks are going to have your back. They're going to protect your accounts against those fraudsters in any possible way. Is fraud going to happen? Absolutely. Has it happened to me? Absolutely. But I have been able to minimize that exposure. So that is a lot about your checking account. And the last thing I want to talk about before we go to Q&A, and I know I've been talking a lot, and I'm so sorry. So I'm going to try speeding things up a little bit. But I do want to just touch on how to use your phone to pay. And this is probably my favorite way to pay. So I go to the gas station. Well, let me first tell you my story and why I started using this. So I travel up and down Southwest Florida, and pre-COVID. And one day I was traveling down to the Naples area, and I forgot my entire purse. I had no driver's license. I had no debit card. I had no credit card. I had no access to funds whatsoever. Now, thank goodness I work for Bank of America, and I can go into almost any Bank of America and they know who I am. So I was able to get access to funds. Well, that taught me a lesson, never to leave home. I never leave home without my phone. I hardly ever leave home without my purse, but I'm more typically worried about my phone and my keys, right? Do I have my phone? Do I have my keys? And typically my purse is inside my work bag. Happened to forget about that, but I did not forget my phone. Had I had my phone, I could have set up my credit card right directly to my Google Pay through my digital wallet. And what that allows me to do is I make all my purchases at any store, any terminal, by just simply unlocking my phone, pressing my fingerprint to unlock it, and then I hold my phone over the terminal. It works at most places. If they have that little I don't know if you can see it, but it has to have this little symbol over on the transmitter, right? So I just simply hold my phone right over it, and then you feel your phone vibrate, and then it says success. My credit card, an image of my credit card pops up and it says success. Now you're probably saying, well, how is that secure? How, if you lose your phone, aren't you worried about somebody losing, getting access to your phone? No, again, they can only access my phone if they know my security number to get in, or my design that I use to open my phone, or they have my fingerprint. That's the only way they can get access to my credit card. And another thing that it does is when you use your digital wallet, it creates a different number. It scrambles the number and creates a different number that the bad people would not be able to access your credit card. So very, very secure. Be very comfortable and confident in using it. It's my preferred method of payment. I still get on my husband when he pulls out his credit card at the grocery store. I'm like, why are you doing that? Unlock your phone, just hold it up. It's real quick, it's really easy. Now, with digital wallet through your financial institution app, you can add your debit card to it as well. And a lot of financial institutions have that same ability to be able to take your phone and put it up to the ATM machine to get access to cash in those events that you need to get access to cash and you just don't have your debit card for whatever reason, or you just want to be able to be techie and use your phone like I do. All right, so Lori, I'm gonna pause here and see if anybody has any questions around basic banking before we get into some online security tips.
I have one about, can you show us again on the site how you got to that questionnaire to design your own resource page?
Absolutely. So if you go to Google, you can just type in better money habits, which I already have here. And then the first one that comes up should be Better Money Habits, Bank of America. And it brings you to the Bank of America Better Money Habits site. And as you can see, it already recognized me, not because I'm signed into my online banking. I'm not signed into anything here, but it remembers my computer, my IP address. So here it says, welcome back. Here's where you left off. So I can simply, if I'm doing some research and I want to go back to that 8 tips of getting the most out of your checking account, it can go right here. But let's just go ahead and ignore that. You are going to go right in this area where it says welcome back. If you did not complete the survey, that's where you're going to go, but it's already recognizing me. So if I want to adjust the answers, I can go to the adjust answers and it'll bring me through that.
Perfect. And then can you use a mobile app if you don't have an online account on a computer?
So yes and no, right? You don't have to have online banking necessarily to have mobile banking. But what you do need to have mobile banking is an email address. So when you go to your financial institution and you set up your checking account, they're automatically going to enroll you in both online banking and mobile banking. So basically what they're walking you through the process of creating your online ID and your password. And then you would simply enter those into your mobile banking app to have access and convenient access to your accounts. Now, online banking, if you just went to a web browser, even on your phone, and typed in your financial institution's website, you can access your accounts through a mobile through any web browser the same way. So your online banking and mobile banking are the same thing. You're going to enter both of them. You're going to access both of them through the same online ID and password. So it just depends on how you access it. But yes, great question. You can have online banking, mobile app without having actually going to a web browser.
Great. That's it for now, Dana.
All right. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit quickly around online banking or online and mobile security tips. So, this I'm not going to spend a lot of time on, but if you have any questions around online security, please go ahead and start thinking about those now. And also we're going to go into some of the scams that are happening to help you prevent you from being victim to a few of those scams. So first of all, using strong passwords, extremely important when you are protecting your accounts from fraudulent activity. You want to make sure that you are not using the same online ID and a password that you're using for maybe your financial institution, for your work, and then for maybe your creditors that you go on, or your social media accounts. You kind of want to change them up. And I know that's a big hassle because anything that you do nowadays requires an online ID and an online password. And we love to create the same online ID and password for everything. But if a bad guy got a hold of that, then they're going to have access to almost anything that you have on your computer, or by accessing different websites and entering those same credentials. So it's really important that you be mindful of the numbers that you do use, that you don't use a social security number, you don't use your date of birth. A lot of people use their home address. All of those are the first thing, if I was a bad person, that I would look, and if I knew that information about you, I would use those and try to manipulate and guess what your passwords or user IDs are. So a lot of times you will see John Smith, 1943. Well, that's his, just gave his, that's his date of birth, right? The year of birth and his first and last name. That's his online ID. Now I got to think, okay, what's John Smith 1943's a security password, right? Now we're going to start thinking, okay, well, he's my dad, so I know his last 4 digits is social. It probably has something to do with that. So not saying that anybody wants to do that. Obviously, we don't want to do that, but it has happened. So I'm sharing things with you that I see from the bank. And it's unfortunate how people get desperate, or they're just, that's their mechanics, their makeup, and they find ways to manipulate the system and use things that, use numbers that they are aware of to gain access fraudulently to people's accounts. So please be mindful of using social security numbers, addresses, your dates of birth, your children's dates of birth when creating your password. And you're probably, if I had to guess, I'm not even sure how many we have on the webinar today, but I would guess 50% or more of you have one of those components in your email or your passwords now. So if you're one of them, please go safeguard your accounts and make those changes as soon as possible. Obviously looking out for strange emails. I don't know about you, but I swear I get spam calls all day long and spam emails. And a lot of them that look like they're really legit. I mean, they're using, let's just say, PayPal. PayPal's a big one right now that I keep getting emails about. Your PayPal account has been temporarily suspended. Click here so we can know that, validate it's you. Well, I'm never going to click in an email. If it's valid, I will go to a different computer. I'll type in, let's say, PayPal, and I'll go and sign into my account. If there's no alerts, there's nothing wrong with my accounts. So the good people, your financial institutions, typically will never say, click here within the email. Go to your online banking, your app, and sign in. If there's truly something wrong with your accounts, whether it's your bank, or whether it's a Amazon account that you somewhere that you shop frequently, that you have accounts with, they'll never send you an email saying, hey, something wrong with your account, click here and sign in with your credentials. That is a bad person. That's what we call phishing. Somebody's phishing for your information to see if you fall victim. Once you enter those credentials in that link, now the bad people have your access to that account. They know, one, you have an account with that company, and two, they now know what your account, what it is that your online ID and your password is. Same thing about clicking links. Beware of any email attachments. A lot of those email attachments are ways for them to start being able to gather more information from you. And that's how the snowball effect happens when you start getting all these different types of spam emails, because now they know that this is a valid email and they start selling it off to people. So just be careful opening email attachments. And even to a text message. My sister sent me a text message the other day. It had a link. She never sends me a text message with a link. I called her, I'm like, hey, sis, did you send this to me? She goes, well, who else would send it to you? I go, I just want to make sure it was you and not a fraudster before I opened it. And I gave access to my cell phone to somebody through text message, because there are spams through text messaging as well. So just be very careful about clicking any links in emails, on your computer, or on your phone. And then watch how much you share online. You know, a lot of the biggest thing that in social media, we love to share, hey, out on vacation, you know, having a great time at the Grand Canyon. Now people and our privacy settings may not be secure enough to, and it's just my privacy settings may be public, and anybody that's friends with my friends, their friends can now all see that I'm in the Grand Canyon and I'm not in my Florida home, and give access to being able to give that potential burglar the knowledge and power, knowing that I may not be home. So just be careful how much you share online, and then be careful about, you know, what you're clicking on, where you're clicking on different sites. Make sure that you're on a secure site. If you see HTTPS, that S means you're secured. So it's a great way to be able to know that you're on a safe and secure site. And then think about sensitive information on your phone. This is probably a big one. When clients come into the bank, I'll say, hey, can you sign on to your online banking? And I'll show you the resource that you have within your online banking. And they're like, oh, hold on a second. They're going to their phone. I got to look it up, and they go in their contacts. It's in their contacts. Now, again, unless if somebody knows, if you have your phone completely locked and they don't know how to access your phone, then that information should be secure. But it's you're opening yourself up to potential risk. So try not to store those passwords within your phone under contacts, and keeping your technology up to date. Lastly, before I want to go over with you is protecting yourself online to find new scams to watch out for. Now, I'm not going to go on to detail on all of these. I'm going to talk more from the banker. Scams that I know that are legitimately happening and I see firsthand, and it's really scary to what scams people are falling for. And it's not our elderly population only that are falling towards these scams. It's our, you know, our working class, you know, population that are falling towards these scams. These bad people, that's all they do all day. They think of ways to scam you out of your hardworking money. That's what their job is. And they come up with some pretty unique things. And when I share some of them, you may laugh. Like, how would you fall for that? Well, if it's your loved one that they're talking about, you get panicked and you may fall for it. So one of the things that I'm talking about is, well, I guess it's not on here. It's one of the biggest scams out there is the your son or your grandson wasn't involved in an accident. They were drinking, and I want to save them from getting a DUI. So if you pay $3,000 right now, I can get this off of their record. But you got to go to your bank. You got to get a cashier's check made payable to me, the attorney, and just put Dana Proshka on it, and overnight it to me. And that way, once I get your check, I can use those funds to get your son or grandson out of jail. And how many people fall for this? I've seen it so many times. And we're good in the banks. Most people are really good at being able to identify, but the scammers, depending on what scammer they're getting scammed by, say, don't ask. The banks are going to ask you questions. Just don't answer any of them, or tell them this. They've been coached on what to say. So the other one you see on here is the online dating hoax. I had a client that came into the bank and had been, you know, a scam of an online dating scam. So she'd been talking and communicating with this person from another country for months. And they were to a point where we're going to get married. I can't wait for you to come to the United States. And then something happened. They needed money, and I don't recall exactly what it was for, but he needed this money in order to get to the United States. And then he needed some more money. So she ended up wiring over $20,000 to a man in a different country she had never, ever met. And they were confessing their love for one another, but she had never, ever, ever, ever laid eyes on this person. So those are types of stories you're going to hear. Those are types of stories that our young population, our mid-age population, our older population. Those are types of hooks that we're falling for and getting scammed out of funds. So just really be careful with that. Suspicious retailers. There's a lot of retailers out there claiming to provide you services or purchase of anything that you're wanting to buy, large ticket items, that they're saying I can save you more money if you buy it through us. So just be very suspicious of that. The bogus tech support. This one, oh my goodness, happened to me. And my phone rang, and I normally, if I don't know the phone number, I don't normally answer it. But sometimes I answer it because I love to play along with them. So I got one not too long ago, and it was a Microsoft. Hi, I'm so and so. Your computer sent an alert over to Microsoft. I'm for Microsoft, and there's a problem with your computer. I'm going to go ahead and help walk you through it. So if you can go ahead and give me your IP address, I can sign into your computer now, and I can fix it for the problem for you. No computer is going to ever do that. It's never going to send it to Microsoft automatically and have that person, somebody from Microsoft, call you. If they did great service, if it was legit, but it's not, you're going to give them access to your computer, and then you're going to have to destroy everything on that computer, have it wiped, and reset all your accounts, all of your passwords, everything on your account. So never, 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 please give anybody access to your account or to your computer, unless if you know and proactively ask for that support. Government impostures. The last one I'm going to talk about is the IRS scam. It's a big one. I get calls every year, multiple times, over and over, saying that I owe IRS taxes. If I call this company, they're going to help me work out a payment plan and get my taxes lowered. But I need to call now, act quickly before I get arrested. Well, I've not been arrested, and I pay my taxes every year, and I'm in good standing with the IRS, but these imposters love to continue to do that. And I've had somebody that fell victim, and I was able to get on the phone with the person when they're in the bank, telling them to leave my client alone. She was not paying them any money. And we hung up the phone. I talked through her. We walked through all the necessity steps to it, and ensured her she was not behind in her IRS taxes. Obviously, she also has to, call IRS directly to ensure, but IRS will even tell you if you go onto their site that they will never call you. So be careful of that. And then the other one, again, with the grandparent scam that happens all the time. We've been able to help eliminate a lot of those. So just be very mindful. If it sounds suspicious to you, stop, don't give any information. Reach out to whatever government agency that you're working, or that's pretending that they're pretending to be, to get that information. So I sped through all that because I know our time is about up. So I want to allow for any more questions around the last topics that we talked about. So Lori, any questions in Q&A?
No questions about what we just talked about. But first of all, I want to thank you very much for covering these topics. Computer security is very, very near and dear to my heart, because that's where I spent most of my career. So I know how important it is, and I try to preach that all the time. It's just really wonderful, good information. But one question about Zelle, which you spoke about at the beginning. If somebody has a bank account in a different bank, can you still use Zelle to send them money?
So let me, that question may have two answers to it. So let me clarify. So if Susan Anderson, I'm just throwing names out there, banks with Bank X, and she also banks with Bank Y, can you send her money to both banks? Is that the question?
No. I think it was like if you bank at Bank of America and your friend banks at Chase, can you send them money using Zelle?
It's a beautiful thing. Absolutely. And
Oh,
there's many financial institutions that are part of the Zelle network. There's thousands of banks. So I can guarantee you all of the large banks all have Zelle within their mobile app. So yes, the answer is yes. That's what's great about this. You can give,
okay.
and it's instant. So my friend that banks at Chase, I can give her money and boom, within seconds, like, as soon as I hit the button send, within 10 seconds, she's getting a text message alert, because she has an alert set up on her mobile phone saying, oh, received money from Dana. So it's that instant, which is fantastic. Now, a lot of the times there is a daily maximum, typically up to $1,000. So you want to check with your bank to find out what that dollar amount is. So some people want to use it to pay their rent. They may not be able to pay because their rent may be $1,100, but your bank may only give you $1,000 Zelle limit per day. So you'll have to check into that.
Good. And one thing also related to computer security, you had mentioned earlier about using your debit, when you use your debit card to select credit. So
Yeah. Mhm.
that is, I think also very important, but how does that come out of your checking account? Does it still just take the money right out of your checking account, even though you selected credit?
So great question, Lori, and allow me to elaborate on that. I might have misspoke. When you're using your debit card in stores in person, you want to run it as credit. The only way you can use, and that does, yes, to answer your question, comes out of your checking account, just like if you'd run it as a debit card. It's just giving you a little bit more added security and helping avoid some of that potential fraudulent access by a scammer, by a skimmer. Now, when you're online, unfortunately, you're going to run it as a credit card anyways. It does never ask you for your PIN number, it just asks like any credit card. I try, if at all possible, if you have a credit card, if you have a true credit card, use your credit card to make anything online. I never, ever, ever like to put my debit card online. My son did it the other day and I told him take it off right away. I don't want your debit card on online, any online purchases for that security purpose. Because if I have any fraud on my credit card, it's not my assets in my checking account that are being taken and may have to, limited access to those funds before it comes back into my checking account. Where if they use my credit card online, it's the financial institution's funds that I can worry about getting back and fraudulently and take care of. So you
Yeah.
cannot use it's not going to protect you on online purchases, but it will help protect you for in-person purchases.
Right, right. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time today. This was a great presentation. And thanks everybody for joining. As a reminder, we'll send out a link to this replay sometime tomorrow. And also there's a survey that'll pop up as soon as we end the webinar. If you wouldn't mind just giving us some feedback, it'll only take a couple minutes. This really helps us shape future programs. So thanks
Lori,
again. I'm sorry.
Lauren, I'm so sorry. Before we disconnect, if I can just share real quick, we are also going to, I believe, email out a budgeting, spending and budgeting worksheet to you. This is information for our next month's webinar, which is going to be about creating a budget and savings. So hopefully we can get this out to you so you can be able to start reviewing this and start thinking about your budget as we go into budgeting and savings next month. Sorry. Thank you,
Oh,
Lori.
yeah, great. Wait, I had one more question came in.
Sure.
Is it safe to use a debit card for phone orders? Great question.
Again, I would recommend, if you have a credit card, to use your credit card. But if it's your only method of payment, and you are 100% positive you know who you're doing business with, then yes, go ahead and use it. But for anything for an added layer of security, I always highly recommend, again, if you have access to a credit card, use your credit card, not your debit card, on phones or online.
Well, terrific. Thanks again, everybody, for joining, and I hope everybody has a great evening. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.